and welcome to another segment, CLG View Point. I am Cindy Lorraine Grais, and today is Friday, February the 28th, 2025, the end of the week. Yeah. And a beautiful day we had today, and hopefully we will have that for the weekend as well. Now today we're going to cover how orgonite works. Canadian school principals spend more time managing substance use in schools. BC buys EpiShuttles. Clearwater Seafood selling Nova Scotia Lobster. A Russian cargo plane seized in Toronto. And repair revolution. Now each segment, I like to start with a sage clearing. For some of you who haven't heard of a sage clearing, it's a process. I clear out the negative energies, leaving each segment with positive energy. Only divine love and divine lights is allowed here. So I have a sage stick. Light this up. Send away all those little low energy entities. You are healed, forgiven, enlightened, and sent back to your perfect place, escorted by my spiritual guides. And so it is. Now we're going to start with a video. Orgonite energy.
Energy that's all around us is sucked into the orgonite. Why? Because the resin is made of carbon. It's an attractor. It attracts the negative energy, but since there's a metal matrix inside, metal shavings or BBs or whatever, any metal, the metal repels it. So you have attraction, repulsion at very high frequencies. The smaller the metal particles, the stronger the OG get.
I have one here to show you. And there's a copper wire and little metal shavings inside. Now, our second video.
The crystal moves towards the point, if it has a point. If it doesn't have a point, the energy moves every which way. But if you have a point, the energy will move from the bottom through the point, as in a pyramid. It moves from the base up to the point. So when you wrap it with wire, you're just adding to the natural effect of conducting the energy. We're talking energy that you can't see or taste or touch or see. That energy is everywhere. We're getting into the quantum field now. That's the etheric energy. It's moving up through the point. So when you use a wire, you're just adding to the natural effect. If you didn't wrap the crystal with wire, it would still work.
And now on to Truth News. Canadian school principals spend more time managing substance use in schools than ever before. A new study says that Canadian school administrators, including principals and vice principals, are spending more time managing students' substance use than previous years, but lack the resources to provide effective support. Many principals are spending more time addressing substance use in their schools over the past year compared to the previous school years. Emily Jenkins, an associate professor in UBC School of Nursing and lead researcher on the study. Led by Wellstream, a UBC-based research initiative which focuses on harm prevention in schools. The survey highlights the growing complexity of substance use in educational settings and the urgent need for evidence-aligned strategies. More than 44,000 people have died from toxic drug deaths in Canada since 2016. The study states, adding that drug-related deaths are now a leading cause of mortality for children and youth aged 10, that's 10 years of age, to 18 years. researchers call attention to the reactive approaches made through treatment beds, but an insufficient marked investment on targeting underlying causes to promote well-being and reduce harms across the full spectrum of substance use, ranging from abstinence through substance use disorder. Meanwhile, in schools across Canada, principals and staff say managing substance use issues continues to take up more of their time, pulling them away from other responsibilities. While more than half of the respondents, that's 55.4%, stated they spend 1 to 5 hours per week engaged in activities related to student substance use, with a smaller portion, 3.4%, spending more than 20 hours weekly. Findings were gathered by surveying 204 principals and vice principals from kindergarten to grade 12 schools across Canada to help identify current approaches as well as current needs in substance use education and support methods in schools. Of the 204 respondents across Canada, the geographical locations of respondents were Ontario at 63.2%, British Columbia at 14.2%, and Alberta at 11.3%. Now, approximately 25 youth died from unregulated drug toxicity each year between 2019 and 2023, according to a report from the BC Coroner Service. Between January the 1st, 2019 and December 31st, 2023, there were 126 deaths among youth due to suspected unregulated drug toxicity. This amounts to about 25 deaths in BC per year of youth and children aged 19 years or younger. The report found that 73% were using in a private residency and 51% were using alone. More than half had a mental health diagnosis, such as anxiety, personality disorders, neurocognitive disorders, substance use disorders, mood disorders, personality disorders, psychotic disorders, and others. The areas with the highest number of unregulated drug toxicity deaths for youth were Vancouver, Greater Victoria, and Kamloops. In the UBC Wellness Study, principals reported an increase in student substance use, and in the survey, principals not only reported seeing an increase in substance use among students, but also found clear links between family substance use, student mental health challenges, and substance use in schools. Based on these correlations, Jenkins says simply telling children and youth to say no to substances doesn't address the full depth of challenges youths are facing today. Preventing substance use harms among children and youth requires a comprehensive strategy that acknowledges the multifaceted nature of this issue. Given this, just saying no doesn't cut it, says Jenkins. More than half cite vaping as the top concerns among students. Staff were asked to list their top concerns from the past 12 months. Of the substances, 63.7% of respondents said vaping is the top concern, followed by substance use on school property and family substance use. 41.7% of staff cited concerns. More than one-third, 39.2%, said mental health issues co-occur with substance use challenges. Meanwhile, 38.7% said the use of social media like Snapchat, Instagram, and TikTok by students showing personal substance use challenges or to seek out drugs was the next big concern. We are seeing a growing number of students not attending school due to mental health, social media, and gaming. Parents are struggling and often enabling, and students are self-medicating with substances, stated one respondent. School leaders told us that punitive approaches, such as confiscating vape products or suspending students, have done little to address the root cause of use, said Jenkins. Vape products are widely available, aggressively marketed, and highly appealing to young people, making them difficult to curb through discipline alone. Along with vaping being more widely used, cannabis, tobacco, and nicotine products, caffeine and energy drinks, and alcohol were reported as the most widely used substances on school property. In terms of providing resources, staff highlighted challenges around knowing how to support students. School administrators mentioned challenges around inconsistent policies across school districts and provinces, preventing a unified, effective, and equitable response. School leaders often feel torn between enforcing policies and supporting student well-being, said Jenkins. Some reported tension between zero-tolerance policies and their commitment to strength-based, relationship-focused approaches that prioritize student health and success. My personal thoughts. Importantly, we are under natural law. So where is the implementation of the I Am Cured program to help the youth, the children? It is all laid out for each community to implement, as well the finances to run this program. Why the delay? Secondly, vaping needs to be removed completely out of our society. It does more harm than good. That's my personal perspective. And lastly, under natural law is the home education program, which will definitely help children and teens learn, grow, and be safe in a home environment. And a consideration could be the implementation of a support group for families to help parents learn skills that will give them the tools to transition their children from school education to home education. Lots and lots of funding for this initiative. BC buys EpiShuttle to transport high-threat pathogen patients. CTV News, written by Martin McMahon. Now, Richmond, BC. With international travel so common, it's not as now health officials have a new tool. This new tool is for highly infectious diseases is when it's suspected and the patient needs transporting. It's called the EpiShuttle. And here is the video.
And it's not as difficult for rare and dangerous illnesses to appear in our country. Now, health officials have a new tool if a highly infectious disease is suspected and the patient needs transporting. Martin McMahon reports on the BC investment that'll safeguard patients and medical personnel alike.
It's called the EpiShuttle. The portable pod can seal in a patient to prevent them from infecting people around them.
Patients who may be under suspicion for or diagnosed with a high-threat pathogen. High-threat pathogens are those that are included as viral hemorrhagic fevers. So, for example, like Ebola or Lassa fever, Crimean Congo hemorrhagic fever.
It's small enough to fit in an ambulance or aircraft. And it has glove ports which allow medical staff to treat patients without the need to wear personal protective equipment, which can take a long time to put on and may be upsetting for the patient.
In my career, there was the avian bird flu, there's the, obviously, COVID of recent. And with the use of the EpiShuttle, definitely would be doing things a little different if we were to repeat those experiences.
The Norwegian device was created by experts who responded to the 2014 Ebola outbreak in West Africa. In high-risk situations, PPE is considered less effective than isolating patients through devices like this.
It safely contains the patient to be able to transport them from another area to ours at the biocontaminated hospital. It allows us to safely move them through an area that will reduce the risk to the public and to other staff.
Each EpiShuttle costs $95,000 per unit. BC now has 2 of them.
We haven't used it just yet. Thankfully, we haven't had to, but we'll be ready to use it when the call comes through.
In our province, there have been some infectious disease scares that ultimately didn't pose a risk to the public. But healthcare workers are glad to have a new tool, just in case. Martin McMahon, CTV News.
My personal thoughts. Why is the BC government official spending money on an expensive equipment like the EpiShuttle when we have medbeds? Why the stalling of the rollout of the most important healing device in the history of medicine on our planet for our people? The medbed that saves lives. Who is preventing our people from being healed of their illnesses? Now I have a video on the medbed.
Say hello to medbeds. Medbeds are revolutionary medical devices that look like regular beds but work wonders. Using advanced technology, they scan your body, detect issues, and start the healing process. Think of broken bones, chronic pain, or even diseases being treated while you rest. It's like having a personal doctor, nurse, and surgeon all in one. Just lie down, relax, and let the medbed do its magic. This is the next big leap in healthcare, making treatments faster, safer, and more comfortable. So, are you ready to sleep your way to better health? Medbeds are bringing the hospital to your home. Stay tuned with Nexus Wellness and Recovery LLC for new game-changing technologies. Till next time, Earth Strong.
Medbeds, bring them back. Bring them on. They haven't been back. They're waiting to be rolled out. Clearwater Seafood, selling Nova Scotia Lobster facility, announces temporary layoffs. Clearwater Seafoods, selling Nova Scotia Lobster facility, announced temporary layoffs. Clearwater Seafoods is making big changes to its inshore lobster business, leading to job losses at a Lockport, Nova Scotia plant and temporary layoffs at its Arishat, Nova Scotia processing facility. Employees in Arishat were informed Wednesday that the layoffs were effective the same day and that it was anticipated they would be recalled back to work by a new owner around the first week of May. Global News obtained a copy of the letter delivered to workers, which stated, in short, Clearwater has made the strategic decision to exit the lobster business. In a statement, Clearwater said it has decided to change its inshore lobster procurement, grading, live storage, and processing business. We are currently in late-stage negotiations to sell our Arishat live lobster holding facility to an experienced local operator, and we will no longer operate the seasonal lobster processing line at our Lockport facility, wrote Christine Penny, Vice President of Sustainability and Public Affairs. Now here is the video.
In Lockport, it employs more than a quarter of the town's population, but that's all about to change as the company is set to end its inshore lobster operations and shut down the town's lobster processing plant.
Clearwater's been a major employer, the biggest employer in Lockport for close to 40 years. So to hear that they're shutting down half of their operation and laying off, a representative amount of employees is a tough pill to swallow.
The plant will now transition into a scallop processing facility. Amalfa says the move will lay off about half of Clearwater's workforce in Lockport.
There's some households where 2 up to 3, even more people within that household work there. So it's impactful significantly. It's significantly impactful.
The company will also be closing a facility in Cape Breton. Global News obtained a layoff letter saying that Clearwater is, quote, in the process of selling our Airshap facility to a new owner. In short, Clearwater has made the strategic decision to exit the lobster business. The company says the laid-off workers in Airshap could resume work once the plant is sold. Jeff Irvin says Clearwater's departure from the sector is a big loss, but it won't cause too much of a disruption for local harvesters and dealers.
I think Clearwater bought about 1% of the inshore lobster from Atlantic Canada or something like that. So others will pick up that buy. Hopefully others will take the product to market like Clearwater did for 40 years.
He says the company has led the way for decades.
They built a lobster brand, really the first, probably 40 years ago. They built a brand that signifies a lot of different things that are really important in our sector. Quality, sustainability, innovation, year-round availability.
In a statement to Global News, Clearwater says they are refocusing their lobster business on offshore harvesting. They say the changes will impact about 5% of the company's workforce. Mitchell Bailey, Global News, Halifax.
The next article, Russian cargo plane seized in Toronto could soon be owned by Canada. By Dylan Robertson, the Canadian Press, February the 27th, 2025. The federal government has taken administrative steps to help gain full control over a massive Russian cargo plane parked in Toronto, which Ottawa hopes to use to generate financial support for Ukraine. Quote, this looks like it's the government gearing up for its forfeiture of that aircraft, said William Pellerin, an Ottawa-based trade lawyer with the firm Macmillan LLP. He says he expects the government to move more quickly on this forfeiture imminently by seeking a court order to render the plane property of the Crown. Russia has claimed that Ottawa is undertaking an illegal expropriation, and Volga Dnepr argues Canada is violating the terms of the 1989 Foreign Investment Protocol that Moscow signed with Ottawa, which has applied since the days of the Soviet Union. The company alleged last August that Canada has cost it upwards of $100 million US. Canada is the first G7 country to introduce a law that allows it to both seize assets held by sanctioned people and divert the proceeds to victims of a sanctioned regime. A Senate report warned last month that the law could put Canadian companies abroad at risk and could undermine the rule of law if the provisions aren't enforced through due processes. And here's the video.
It's been sitting here more than 15 months, the Russian-owned Antonov AN-124. The cargo plane came to Canada to deliver a shipment of COVID-19 rapid antigen tests, but the plane's been unable to fly in Canadian airspace since Russia invaded Ukraine. Now the Canadian government says it's seizing the plane and giving it to Ukraine.
This is a big first step to seize their assets.
The aircraft was manufactured in Ukraine.
We're hoping that Ukraine will be able to use it to transport aid that's being donated from around the world.
Aviation lawyer Bill Clark.
It'll go back, it'll be given to the Ukrainian government, who would then delegate it to the Antonov Design Bureau, who built the plane.
The federal government announced plans over the weekend to seize the plane when Prime Minister Justin Trudeau made a surprise trip to Kyiv.
We are one of the first countries to bring in specific legislation that allows us not just to ground this plane, but to actually seize it.
Trudeau says the Ukrainian government's happy with the move.
And is there a timeline for that? As soon as possible.
Legalities aside, the plane is in no condition to go anywhere without maintenance.
Every aircraft has what we call a maintenance control manual that specifies what has to be done in layups. None of that's been done.
And Ukrainian Canadians are wondering what's next when it comes to seizing Russian assets.
There absolutely needs to be more done to investigate and freeze assets, and then eventually, as you see with this plane, to seize it.
So the federal government says it is seizing it, but there is no firm date yet set. There has to be all the legal paperwork completed, and of course, as you heard, the maintenance work, the repairs before it can be flown out. Oh, and one other thing, since it's been sitting here since February of 2022, Pearson Airport has been levying a parking fee of a little over $1,000 per day, but it is widely expected that the federal government will make sure that
My personal thoughts. The government of Canada held captive a Russian plane and has to pay for the parking fees of $1,000 a day since February of 2022, which leaves a bill of approximately $1,155,000 on parking fees. That is a huge bill. I would call that fiscally irresponsible and mismanagement. How many houses could be built for the homeless? If there is an agreement between Moscow and Ottawa since 1989, is the government breaking its contract? And then want to give it away to the Ukraine? Would that be called stealing? Something to think about. I am Cindy Lorraine Grais, and it's been an honor to have you here today at CLG View Point. And I thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for you being here today. If you feel compelled to, please share this forum with others. Today I'm going to share with you a closing video. It's called The Repair Revolution. Enjoy, and see you Monday, March the 3rd, 2025, and have a fabulous weekend until we see again. Until we see you again. Here we go.
System that's not just about reducing waste, but about redefining it. In a world of mass production and consumption, discarded items pile up at an unsustainable pace. The circular economy, though, is about designing products to last, repairing instead of replacing, and reviving a culture where the default action isn't to chuck things away. Japan once embraced this philosophy. It even has a term, mottainai, to express regret over waste. Now a new film about the culture of repair is reviving interest, and it is reminding people of the value of fixing what's broken.
Tokyo's Harajuku district is known for its fast-moving fashion scene. But last month, this consumer hub held an event with a different message. There were booths selling used items, offering free repairs, and hosting workshops where people made bags from surplus factory materials. An indigo dye gives new life to an old shirt. One of the highlights of the three-day event was a screening of the film The Repair Cafe. The documentary focuses on a cafe in the Netherlands where people bring broken items to be repaired. Some people have clothing or accessories to fix. Others bring computers, speakers, or vacuum cleaners.
This I got from my grandma, the necklace, and it means a lot to me because it's also Amberstone, which is my name. So this is why I really want to make it repaired.
Volunteers in the cafe don't just fix things. They collaborate with the owners to bring their items back to life.
And have you been doing this for a long time, actually?
The cafe operates primarily on donations and offers the services free of charge. What began as a small initiative by a Dutch journalist back in 2009 has grown into a global movement with more than 4,400 locations.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And it inspired Amsterdam-based journalist Sezawa Masato, who specializes in stories about the circular economy. His passion for repair cafes spurred him to make a film capturing the community spirit in an Amsterdam location.
The gratitude people feel when something is repaired can't always be expressed with money. Instead, they offer heartfelt thanks, sometimes even a hug, to show their appreciation. That spirit of kindness and human connection is what defines the unique atmosphere of repair cafes.
The movie has been screened 24 times in the last 4 months and is set to be picked up by an indie Japanese distributor in a few months.
In Japan, there's an abundance of cheap, disposable goods, and people have grown accustomed to low quality. The idea of fixing things has largely faded from our lives.
Seeing someone's cherished items brought back to life is a moving experience. You realize that repairs do more than just bring things back to life. They stir emotions and give me a warm, heartfelt feeling.
Sezawa says the positive response to his movie has strengthened his belief that repair culture can take root in Japan once more.
Repairs benefit the environment, society, and even the economy. I hope this will become a new movement in Japan.
The ripple effect of Sezawa's movie has reached Kameoka, a city nestled in the mountains of Kyoto Prefecture. People there have been inspired to start their own repair cafe. They held the first event last December. Here, a college student repairs the zipper on his backpack with advice from a local clothing maker. An elementary school boy has taken on the challenge of mending his mother's tote bag. He's determined to give it a second life. Kameoka city officials view the repair cafe as more than an environmental fix. They hope it will help forge stronger communities in rural Japan.
In Japan, communities have become more fragmented over time. The repair cafe isn't just a place to fix things, it's also an opportunity to restore connections between people.
Kameoka will soon host regular monthly sessions, turning a grassroots movement into a city-backed initiative, and perhaps inspiring a broader culture of repair.